Alright guys, welcome back to your programming 101. So, first thing is, what is programming? It's a question, isn't it? If you don't know what programming is, in its basic form, writing a set of instructions for the computer to do. That's pretty much what programming is, writing instructions for the computer. Programming varies from everything from assembly code, which I'll actually show you a little bit of. Okay, so I won't show you debug. It's too much hassle to get it working on Windows 7. But essentially it's a really basic type of programming. So programming is writing instructions for the computer. Now there are lots of languages, as I mentioned. One is assembly. Don't ever look at that. Java is the one we're going to be learning our basic code in. C, which is a common one used for Windows machines and like compiling for Windows. C++, another one's a more advanced version of C. It's not a more advanced version. C is full of lots of little quirks and little things you need to be aware of, and C++ tries to simplify a lot of that. When you get onto like web servers, there's like PHP code, there's Ruby code, or Ruby on Rails as it's known as, JavaScript, which is not actually connected to Java in any way. It's a marketing term. It was originally supposed to be called LiveScript. But they're all programming languages. Now, this software that we have here, the NetBeans IDE stands for Integrated Developing Environment. So what this means is that this is actually where we write our code. An integrated developing environment is a cool thing because it's a self-contained application that will write, or that we can write, compile and run our code all at once in one go. Right, because I could easily write this in a text file, compile it using a compiler program, and then run it. It'd be no bother. But unfortunately it's overly complicated and it's long, and an IDE is a good simple way to go, and I like NetBeans for learning on. I actually learned on JCreator, which is a brilliant IDE, but there's no free version anymore. So this is our code here. So the main terms are, this is source code. So whenever you hear something of a software being open source, this is what it means, is that this kind of code, the source code for it, is up and you can download it, view it, you can mess around with it, you can hack it together, you can mix it up, you can do whatever you want with the source code. And that's what open source means. But this essentially here is source code. All of this stuff is. Okay? This is all source code. Now, over here in the projects we can ignore all that stuff for now. But this is our source code, as I said before. Now, you probably heard the term a compiler. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to click here, okay? I'm going to click on the build icon. Build project. Yeah, oh. This automatically does building. Alright, clean and build. Okay, see, it says here, look, build successful. We just compiled our code. So as you can see, this code is kind of machine or human readable, isn't it? It looks like it's all English, or it's in like English now. It's obviously, you know, very strict, but essentially this is our code, and the machine can't understand this type of code at all. It's just like, what is this? So what we do is we run it through what's called a compiler. And the compiler converts this into a new file type, and the compiler builds this into what's called a jar file. See here, hello world.jar. And when it converts this into a new file, into a jar file, that jar file can then be executed with a Java machine, or a machine that's running Java. Now when you install the JDK, you actually install Java on your computer, or the Java virtual machine, which means that your computer can now run Java code. And Java code can run, or the Java virtual machine can run on pretty much anything. It runs on Linux, Mac, everything you want. So that's what's nice about, that's what's really nice about Java. It runs on on all platforms pretty much, and it's a nice, you know, if you write a jar file, it can be run on any computer with Java installed on it, which is really handy. For example, if I was using dev C++ to show you guys, it would only work on Mac, or not Macs, on Windows, because the C++ code would be compiled to run on a Windows machine as an exe file. I'd have to compile it with different software to run it on Mac. Anyway, so this is our source code here. So we're not going to get into this whole public class thing. We can actually get rid of all this stuff here. So we're going to start learning programming basics. So public package hello world, this sig, public class hello world, public static void main string args. Okay, so just going to delete this line. So in our program, this is our first. You need to type something like this up. Okay, now remember, this hello world must have the same file name as this file up here. Okay, and this here has to be here as well. Now we'll get into what this is actually called a method, but we'll get into this in the future. But this is our main method, and it takes a string arrays as arguments. It's just the way Java works. You need to have that code there. Okay, now up here we have a comment. We'll go through comments now in a minute. Okay, so I'm just gonna write in just a few lines of code. Okay, and I'm actually going to put that. I'm just going to Control Z and put that line back in. Okay, and then we're going to say so you can write this in if you need to, but we're just writing that in from 101, and then I'm just copy and paste this. I just want to make a point here. Okay, okay, so I just put in some code there. Okay, now you're looking at that now. Now any programmer with an hour's experience will be able to tell you what this does, but we're going to learn something now. The first fundamental thing we need to learn is the comment. Okay, so what is a comment? Remember what I said about compiling? The compiler goes through this code, builds it into a jar file, and that jar file is then runnable on our system. Well, if I put in 2 slashes like that and type in this as a comment is essentially code. This line will not be this tells it to ignore this line, this whole line all the way across. Since I highlight correctly, that line is now ignored by the compiler. The compiler doesn't see that line, it just says, oh, double slashes, ignore. So another word you're going to come across, and I might mention it, is called a syntax. Syntax is essentially just means this is how it's coded. So the syntax for a for loop would be how a for loop or an if statement is coded. We'll get to those. So system, yeah. Okay, so if you just click run on this here, build, so it says hello world, programming 101, build successful, blah 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 blah. That's that. So what now? Okay, so each line of this is called a statement. Okay, or each line or each statement has to be ended with a semicolon. Now you're probably thinking, but there's no semicolon here, there's no semicolon here. Well, that's because it's, every statement or every instruction line has to be done with a semicolon. Okay, ended with a semicolon, every single one. Now there are some cases where you don't. You'll also notice these curly braces. All your code needs to be contained within these curly braces. If you don't include your code within the curly braces, so if I put this out here, okay, it'll actually, if I try and run this, look, oh, yeah, always run anyway. Okay, so as you can see, we're getting a load of errors. Method error, oh god. Remember, the code has to be within the curly braces in this public static void main method. Okay, we'll go through what classes all are in the future, but that's essentially that. Okay, now the third thing is, or the next thing is, that code executes line after line after line. So it goes all the way across, then goes across again, then goes across again. That's fair enough. Now I'm going to tell you, okay, straight up, this is Java specific and this is Java specific. In other words, this code here won't work in any other language but Java, as far as I'm aware. This string out might work in other languages, depends on the language. Won't work in C because C is a picky yoke altogether. Okay, so that's our sort of Java intro. And next time we're actually going to go through different things here. We're going to start learning about variables and stuff like that. Okay, or we're going to start learning about instruction sets and actually building up a small little program.